Lieutenant Loverlady.
Man, it's been a while since I've done one of these, huh? The last video was back in May, and the other one way before that. I've been taking a mental break pretty much. While Brawl is decently fun, I've been occupying my time in some other games more often. You know, a little bit of Marvel Ravel, some Mario Kart 2. Nothing worth making content over specifically, but come on, you know I always bounce back. Teros is the topic of this legend analysis, specifically chosen out of these legends. Lucian is such a nothing sauce character to me, Diana feels too basic to go with, and Cross was who I originally went with until I swapped things up. I mean, come on, Teros is all over the place. Quite literally everywhere. There's no avoiding Teros gameplay in your local session. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory why Teros is so strong or why he continues to pretty much dominate the meta, but we'll dive into each part of course, and recently announced on my Discord server there's a new formula to how these types of videos are going to work. If you're interested in any of that business, join the Discord server with the link in the description. But no stalling, let's dive into these signatures. Teros is an absolute menace with the signatures, it's the worst kept secret in Brawlhalla. Axe Insig after all this time still remains as probably Teros' best signature. This one has shown its power and it's yet to have received a nerf. Why is that? No clue is basically going to be the answer to why Teros is so strong. We simply don't know. This signature has a mad amount of force on stage and less with the aerial version, but I would argue aerial is the way to go. It holds the most damage at 28 for the grounded version and has a good amount of coverage too. Just make sure you don't go using it the wrong way. Doing it offstage or slide charging it is very fun and works quite a lot, but don't abuse it if your enemy knows how to counter it. Axe Sig is the worst signature in the Axe kit, but not bad by any means. It still proves to completely sweep your enemies off the ground if you need to. No particular tips for this one, similarly to Axe Insig, just don't throw it out all the time. More so on this one considering its force of 64-66. Lastly, we have Axe Downsig, which has always terrorized me the most. Most times when a Teros player uses Axe Insig, I avoid it pretty swiftly, but Axe Downsig, you can catch me in a fetal position crying my eyes out. This one is the more so balanced one as it doesn't excel in force or damage, but it still packs a punch. Remember that this one doesn't hit stats, so anyone directly on you won't get hit. Onto the hammer game, we aren't done with powerhouse signatures. Although the signature game on hammer is less strong, it still packs a punch. Hammer Insig is a fantastic one at doing what it does pretty well, which is yoink. Everything about it seems pretty average for Teros' standards, especially since it doesn't go true with downlight anymore. It used to in the past, and maybe it's like 1 or 2 frames or something like that, but it's obvious why they removed this one. Chances are you can still catch this, just not very often. Insig seems to be safer in regards to the other hammer moves, which is what makes it pretty nice. Hammer Sidezig is in my opinion the best hammer signature in Teros' kit, sporting the best force at 57-75 and being decently easy to hit. Really no tech for this one, it's one of Teros' more straightforward signatures, and personally one of them I've had the least fun using. Lastly, we have Hammer Downsig, which leaves you crazy stationary. That doesn't make it all bad, as this signature does hold a whopping 30 damage with nearly as much force as Sidezig. I wouldn't say it's always worth throwing out, this is the one signature on Teros you really have to get a feel for before you know what you're doing. Overall, I would call Teros' Axe game much better, but you wouldn't be in the wrong for using both weapons to snatch a win in the most cheesiest way possible. Of course, it's not just the signatures that make Teros strong, let's dive into those stats pronto. Teros sits at 8 strength, 3 dexterity, 6 defense, and 5 speed. I mean, is it to anyone's surprise that this bull is still OP? Teros holds a stat lineup of absolute power. This isn't just a legend you can nerf off the rip. There's a few stat combinations that are just tied to some of the strongest legends. Legends that no matter how much you nerf, they always come back. That's why it's no surprise that you can run pretty much any stance on Teros. Attack takes from defense, defense takes from speed, speed takes from dex, and dex takes from attack. Running any stance works for the playstyle you want besides dexterity. We all know why running dexterity is shamed upon. And I mean, come on, when a legend holds all of these fantastic features, you know people are playing him. Teros has always managed to stay near the top play rates, and for the last year or two has stayed right behind Mordex. At least until you go to today's patch, 9.07. Wait, what patch are we on? At least until you go to today's patch, 9.08. What a world we live in to see Mordex actually leave top 1 for once. Who knows how long it'll stay like this, but maybe it'll tell the devs to finally nerf the abomination that is Teros. There's no denying it, really. It's not particularly a problem with Teros, but also a problem with how much he can do for being a, most of the time, 2 dexterity legend, and with 2 of the heaviest weapons in the game is putting out attacks quicker than Chakram can. The final conclusion has been met. Tier list wise, out of S, A, B, C, and D, I'd place Teros in S+ tier. I mean, did anyone really expect it to be lower? Personally, I don't really like playing him too much, but if I need to do some terrorizing in the friendly queues, I could dabble. It's just never my first go-to when playing Axe or Hammer. Now diving into the more fun side of things, let's start off with the cosmetics and, of course, the legend skins. We can finally take our time with the skins now that it isn't crammed in the middle of the balance section. God tier holds Ready to Riot, Follow Prince tier 2, and Gruagok. Ready to Riot I hold close to heart thanks to McFrags. He's the one who inspired me to use this setup, so thanks for that, man. Fallen Prince Tier 2 has such a cool style to it, and it isn't quite human Teros, but it's not fully animated either. It takes color swaps swimmingly. Gruagok is the only crossover who has no special signature effects. Yeah, Gruagok, woo! Pretty good tier. Has Wreck the Halls, Yeti, Gatekeeper, Hall Minotaur, Medivh, Fallen Prince Tier 1 and 3, and Patrick Star. A whole lot of skins, jeez. Wreck the Halls is very festive and great for a first event skin, although not my go-to pick. Yeti is the one example of an exclusive skin that isn't a Medivh and is still available if you just buy merch off their site. Exclusive? Yes. Good skin? I mean, it's unique, but it's not amazing in my eyes. Gatekeeper I've never loved, but puts a sick spin on Teros' design. Hall Minotaur has a super goofy theme, which Teros doesn't usually have in his skin department. Medivh Teros was a strange pick for a Medivh, since it isn't that great looking in my eyes, but it's still super exclusive and it's better than default, which is a W in my book. Fallen Prince Tier 1 I used to like because, I mean, come on, it's human Teros. Feels weird that we live in a timeline where this exists, right? And then Tier 3, while spectacular looking, just doesn't quite fit my tastes. Animated skins aren't my favorite. And then we have Patrick Star, who originally was going to appear in God Tier, although I remembered how many animation errors he has, and I mean, the signature effects are absolutely top tier, and S tier in fact. But some of these animations just make me want to throw Patrick into Get Out tier, which I won't, it's Patrick Star, but him and SpongeBob have a lot of these, which is why I don't put him in S tier. Okay, we knocked that section out of the park. Let's move on to the average tier, with Default, Iron Legion, Rift Dweller, Forge Heart, and God King Teros. Teros' default design screams old Brawlhalla to me a bit, but fits in the game just as much today. Besides that, all the other skins in this tier, while unique, don't quite earn pretty good tier. I actually think Forge Heart is severely underrated, alongside God King Teros. Med tier has only Roman Reigns. I'm not a WWE fan, and when I see this crossover, it just reeks of sweat. On the bright side, he looks pretty cool, but I just get PTSD fighting Roman Reigns at this point. Then Get Out tier has Mecha Teros. If you know me, you know I dislike mecha skins. Most of them look really bad to me, with just a few of them sticking out and doing something unique. Although Mecha Teros is not one of them. But this one just doesn't look that good, so yeah, sorry to the Mecha Teros enjoyers out there. As for his associated cosmetics, he doesn't have a lot actually, just 2 avatars and 3 emoji skins, which are all pretty good. Only Fallen Prince Sweat comes off a bit weird, and Taro Doodle is one of the few times you'll catch Taro smiling, at least without the use of emotes. I mean, he seems happy in the cinematics at least. Besides that, a look at Teros' lore made me wonder how many places he's really been. He resided in Feywild, the Iron Legion, and he was even the first crewmate that Sidra had? Really? And he had a tenor with the wizard? Who exactly? In the end, Teros somehow ends up in the Lost Labyrinth, which is showcased in the background of the map. Teros must have had a lot of time on his hands, and maybe we'll see more of Lost Labyrinth someday? Who knows? Although I know he might get a bit of a spotlight in the new Brawlhalla Tales comic we're getting soon. But what are your thoughts on the Minotaur himself? Are you amongst the 99.9% of people who agree that he needs a nerf? Or do you belong in a mental institution? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, as I'm always curious. My upload schedule is pretty random now, so y'all play it safe, and always remember to keep on brawling.